What does it take to rebuild after failure and scale that impacts thousands worldwide? Mac Attram didn't just figure it out, he systemized it. In this episode, he breaks down how he turned the struggle into strategy and the exact mindset it takes to win in business today. Hey, Mac, how are you today?
Very good, Mark. Mark, again, yeah, thank you for inviting me onto your show.
Absolute pleasure. We're going to cover lots of different areas. Some of the things will be a little bit of recap of what we've had before. Some are going to be new questions as well. So we're going to start off with, you describe when I was doing research about you that you struggled for years. So tell me a little bit about the struggle before you actually cracked the code and what finally made you change.
Great question. Great start. You've done your research, Mark. So I worked for 3 corporations over a 10-year period, and every single time I was lasting shorter and shorter. So first time was 7 years, taken on as a graduate management trainee, and after 7 years, I thought, no, I've had enough of here. I want to change career, change companies. So I changed, and I lasted with the next company for 2 years. And after that, I felt, oh, there's something missing here. I'm not feeling fulfilled. And I thought it was a company. So I left and I went to another company, lasted for 1 year. Then I realized, actually, I want to start my own business. So I started my own business with all good intention. Things seemed to be going along okay. Then I got 2 business partners who were working with me. And later on down the line, I didn't realize, but they had siphoned a lot of money out of the business, and creditors were now chasing me. And so I set up, because I'd set up this small IT company, thinking that, I know what to do. I have an MBA, I know business. Well, little did I know that academic success, my MBA in other words, doesn't equal to entrepreneurial success. The MBA had, I think, had set me up to become a good middle manager, senior manager somewhere. So now my business partners cheated on the business. Now I'm borrowing money on credit cards, on loans to the tune of over 100,000. Now this is money that I have to pay these creditors back and so the whole thing took its toll on me. And I live in West London, and my office at the time was in North London. And so that journey around that A406, A40.
Yeah, I know that very well. Yeah.
And so I've ended up, leaving home early, finishing late, and I'm working at that time, working 18 hours a day, 19 hours a day, not sleeping much, burning out. And there was a time when I think it all came crashing down. And I remember 5 minutes from my home, I stopped my car in this shopping center parking lot, and just sat there with my hands on the wheels thinking, I'm such a failure, and sobbing and feeling like, how did I get here where nothing seems to be working, and why am I struggling? So what happened was, so that evening, sitting there thinking, I'm such a failure, and feeling like the whole world is crushing down on me. It's at a time, Mark, when my wife was pregnant with our second child, and I was hardly at home, working all these hours. Now, eventually when I got home, it was all a blur, but all I could remember was, how do successful business owners do business? How do these rich entrepreneurs become rich? Because certainly there's something I don't know. And so what happened, I went on the journey of self-discovery. I started buying books and reading books on success, on business, on mindset, all this kind of stuff, and attending workshops and seminars around the same subject. And within 18 months, well, actually within 2 years, I was able to fix that business. And then I sold that business. When I sold that business, that small IT company, people then started asking me for help in their business. So I started coaching and consulting a few companies, a few business owners. And that's when I really fell into what I believe my purpose, my passion is, which is very much to inspire, educate, and empower people to live a life of joy, courage, passion, and purpose. So right now I have a company called Mindspace Coaching. That company's been running for many years. I've been in the training and coaching field now for over 2 decades, doing just that, because I know what it's like when you have a business and the business is not going the way you would like it to go, when cash flow is not amounting to much, when your family, your staff rely on you. It can, for some people, it leads them to burnout, which almost happened to me. It leads to divorce. It leads to bankruptcy. It leads to various vices, alcoholism, drugs, and it can spoil a family. It can really take its toll on a family. And so that's what I do. So I hope that makes sense there, Mark.
Yeah, it does. What was the lowest point? Was it being in the car sobbing?
Yeah, that was no laughing matter at the time. Just, if any of your listeners ever experienced something where it seems insurmountable, that how did I get here? I'm not a bad guy. I work hard. I do my very best. I work hard, but unbeknownst to me, there were things in business that I should have had in place, which I didn't. And so now, any business that I set up, I put the right structures in place, the right systems in place, and I take my time hiring or even partnering with people. So at my lowest point, that was it. Being over 100 grand in debt, my wife being pregnant with our second child, a few short years had gone by where I'm hardly at home. My doctors are saying, take it, slow down, because your blood pressure is rising. And just, I felt like a total failure because nothing seemed to be working.
What did it teach you, that lowest point? Did it teach you about resilience? Did it teach you about how to rebound? Or like what were the lessons that you learned from hitting that low point?
What I learned was this, and it's easy to look back in hindsight or look back retrospectively, but I realized that I was practicing martial arts, and I've been practicing martial arts for over 43 years now. In the last 20 years, Taekwondo with Grandmaster Nichols here in London. But at the time I was going through my struggles, I realized that martial arts practice had taught me about resilience, it taught me about character. And in that moment, my relationship with my wife wasn't working. My business wasn't working, but I realized that whenever I turned up to Taekwondo practice, there was a coach, there was an instructor, and in those days it was Grandmaster Nichols. But when I looked at my business, there was no instructor, there was no coach, there was no mentor. When I looked at my relationships, the same thing. When I looked at my money, it was the same thing. I thought, So in hindsight, I realized what turned it round for me was actually going to study how to do business properly, how to how to communicate better, how to sell. And so when I attended workshops and seminars and had coaches around me, that's when things started to change. And one of the models that I created in our company, Mindspace, is as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, if you really want to succeed at a high level, there are three levers that we say that you must really implement and follow. And those three levers, one is what I call attitude. What is your attitude to life and business? By attitude, I'm talking about your beliefs, your habits, your behaviors, what you think about, how you behave, how you show up. Attitude. Now, is that positive? Is that negative? Is that empowering? Is that disempowering? The thoughts you're having, are they supportive of your success or non-supportive? Then the second thing is the actions. Are you taking the right actions? Are you taking the actions every day towards the goal or the dream or the things that you aspire to? And so some people wake up and they are busy and they are doing busyness. And busyness doesn't always equate to business success. So yes, you're running your enterprise, but what actions, and are you doing the right actions? And those actions, are they leading you down the right way? And by that, I mean, if you're doing the right actions, you should be able to look at your numbers, and your numbers would suggest whether you are going the right way. It's not about just being busy, but it's about being smart, doing the right things, and moving the right way. And the third area is accountability. Now, when I talk about attitude, yes, I had some negative attitudes. I had some attitude which wasn't lending itself to business success in terms of the way I showed up, the way I did things, in terms of actions. That was leading me to take bad actions, associate with the wrong people, finding the wrong partners. So accountability, which is the third A, the third thing, is about, when I realized all that, the key thing that turned around for me was having someone hold me accountable. And I found that in the form of coaches. So I had coaches who coached me on the goals or the aspirations that I had. And this comes, like I said, from my martial arts background, where, so in martial arts, for example, I am currently a 6th Dan black belt. Now, I didn't do that on my own. Coaching from our various masters, from Grandmaster Nichols, also previously, formerly many years ago, the London judo champion, and almost qualified for UK representation in judo. And then later on, I was a UK national champion in taekwondo, but that wasn't by accident. And so that was through instruction and coaching. And so when I say about the third A, accountability, who is holding you accountable? Who is supporting you? And what I found after coaching and training hundreds of thousands of people in over 50 countries that I've visited is that often there is a lack of accountability. And as business owners will, entrepreneurs will sometimes let themselves off. But when you have someone breathing down your neck, supporting you, and also watching your numbers, you've got to report back to, there is a tendency to actually take the action and take the action the right way. And so those three pillars is essential for business success, as I see it.
Imagine waking up tomorrow with a brand new website, one that finally reflects who you are, the value you bring, and the level of business you're building. A site that feels clean, modern, and confident. The kind of online presence that makes prospects pause and say, yes, I want to work with them. That's what Up in a Day specializes in. Founded by Lindy Novak, Up in the Day creates stunning, high-converting websites for entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and small businesses. No tech overwhelm, no endless decision loops, and no dragging the process out for months. Just clarity, simplicity, and a final product that elevates your brand instantly. Your website is often the first impression someone has to your business. It should feel aligned with where you're going, not where you started. If you're ready for a website that matches your ambition, set up a call on the link below, which explains what's possible. Your next chapter could be just one decision away. Why do you think we have coaches when you're in sports? Sports is a great metaphor for this idea. And you said about martial arts, but like you think of sports people and they have coaches all the time. Why do you think it is that in business we don't necessarily think that we need a coach? Like, why is it a mindset shift that we need to have a coach when it comes to running your business?
Great question, Mark. Look, what I've come to realize is this: not everyone needs a coach. Not every business owner needs a coach. What I've come to realize is the ones that are very honest with themselves, that say, hey, I want my business to be here in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, in the next 3 years. Now, if you've never done it before, how are you going to do it? Well, the only way you're going to do it is based on what where your mindset is already and the knowledge that you have. And so you're going to plod slowly towards that through a lot of guesswork. But as, like you rightly said, as a world-class athlete, the moment you say, I want to win the Olympic gold medal, or I want to win the world championships, at an early age, you already know that it takes a coach to push you out of your comfort zone and push you and see the potential that you have and help you to move towards that. And so we see that in sports. And I'll say to people, now take the same consideration, apply it to your life, to your business, to your health, to your nutrition, whatever it is, to your relationship, to your happiness. And if you are not where you want to be, then there's something you don't know. Like the great Usain Bolt. Now, if you go and check any documentaries, read his books, you'll realize he wasn't disciplined. He wasn't. You would think winning 4 gold medals at the Beijing Olympics, at the London Olympics, he would be disciplined. No, he says it himself. If it wasn't for his coaches, he would, although he had the aspiration to get there, if it wasn't for his coaches, there's no way he could have got there. They're the people who pushed him out of bed. Come on, they've got to train now, got to train at this time, eat correctly, sleep correctly. And so why? So when your question is, why is it that some entrepreneurs don't use a coach? Because often they haven't set that big aspiration. They haven't set that big goal. And I say to people, set the big goal. Set the goal that maybe makes you shake and makes you quiver and think, and let your mind say to you, how am I going to achieve that? And the moment you say, how am I going to achieve that? And I've never been there before. I've never done that before. Now, if you want to get there much faster, then find someone who's either been there, who can mentor you, or who can coach you or hold you accountable towards it. And does everyone need a coach? No. Only the people who say, I aspire to better than this. I want to be better than where I am. I want to step into my full potential. I want to grow my business to X. Because all you are doing when you hire a coach or a mentor, sometimes you'll pay for that privilege. Sometimes it'll be free. And I always say pay, because free, often people don't value that as much. So all you are doing, Mark, is you are taking a shortcut. You're speeding up the process to get to where inevitably you want to get to. And that's why I think it's essential. If you're a business owner who has great aspirations, get someone to support you in the form of a coach or a mentor.
What experience, skill, qualification do you have to coach these business owners? What are the components which are important for you to go out and support these business owners?
Great question. First of all, the number one thing I'll say, actually, let me explain the difference between coaching and mentoring, and then I'll talk about my experience, because I want anyone here listening to this not to get confused between mentoring and coaching. Now, mentoring is a process of getting information from someone else. So you could find a mentor and they'll tell you what to do and just go and do it. And they may hold you accountable. They may not. Often they won't hold you accountable. This is how I would do it. Go ahead and do it. A coach, on the other hand, will take time to establish where you are right now and then pull out the genius that you already have inside of you, and also guide you on the right track, on the right route, in order for you to get where you need to go. So a lot of it is coming from, or getting the best out of you in order to get the results. Now, the other side of, so when it comes to business coaching specifically, yes, you're doing that of a coach, getting the best out of them, and also having the tools and the mechanisms and the frameworks to help them to change, grow, or scale their business. So what qualifications do I have? One, I've run businesses. I've actually created businesses. I've sold 3 businesses. I still own some businesses. I have a multi-million-pound real estate property development company, an investment company. We have a digital marketing company. I have an education company. Now, these companies are set up in a way that it doesn't necessarily rely on me to be there and running them all the time. So first and foremost, that's my first qualification. Second qualification is I'm a fellow coach, the highest type of coach accredited by the IAPCM, which is the International not Coaching Federation, International Authority for Professional Coaches and Mentors. So there are 3 or 4 levels, I believe, and I'm the highest level coach. And to be able to be a fellow of that institute, you've had to have done so many hours of coaching and training, which I was able to prove because I've been doing this for over 2 decades. Then also they'll quiz and go through. They went through all my coaching materials, my written materials, my books, in order to be and then also to be interviewed in a way that actually, is this a good coach or not? And so that's my second qualification. Third qualification is, as I said earlier on, I have a master's degree in business administration. So I understand business on the theoretical side of it. I can tell you about Porter's 5 forces. I can tell you about so many different theories, but they are theories until applied. And so I have both the theoretical background and I also have the real ground in running a business, making mistakes with business, almost losing a business, creating businesses, selling businesses, and up to date coaching over 200,000 people in over 50 countries for them to grow and scale their business as well. I don't know if that's and I'm an author of 4 best-selling books on personal development and business development.
I think you've answered that very, very well. I think you've got you might have some of the qualifications and some of the experiences that people might be looking for. No, that's great. Thank you for answering that. And I love the fact that you've got the theoretical and the practical as well. And that's often people that I know that go and study at a prestigious business school, and they're talking to professors there that have never run a business in their lives. And it worries me when people do that, because it's like, okay, they understand the landscape and they can understand the nuances, maybe macro economic things that are directing, but unless you've actually been on the ground doing sales calls, doing marketing, being actually out there as a figurehead for your business, I think it's sometimes difficult to have the whole rounded experience for someone to learn from. So I love the fact that you talk about the theory, but actually the practical side of running businesses is just as important. In some cases might be more important for people.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. And specifically when we're talking about this, I'm talking about the small business owner, because there are large companies who may hire you straight from graduate school and put you into a business unit to manage that business, or ask you to head this particular department. And yes, you can use your MBA skills to help you to do that. And you'll have all the theory to help you to do that. But when it comes to being as a small business owner, when you start your business or you're trying to grow and scale your business, there's nothing better than experience. And I have that in abundance, and I still own businesses, but my passion and my purpose is really helping other small business owners to grow and scale their business to the extent that they want to.
Yeah, love it, Mac. Right, let's delve into a little bit more about your clients. So let's go very micro. What do most business owners struggle with when it comes to growing their sales consistently?
Well, the answer, as you were speaking, I'm thinking, what's the question here? Then you said sales. Now, the number one skill in business, bar none, I believe, is the ability to sell.
Yeah.
Now, I'll come to reason why people struggle with selling, but number one skill is not creating the thing that you're going to sell and packaging it and making it beautiful. That's fine. That's expected. It's not you being able to do all your admin and catching up on your emails every day. That's fine. That's expected. It's not being able to just market and tell people, hey, I'm here, come and check out our products and services. Well, if you don't do that, no one's attracted to your business. But the number one skill is the ability to sell. And by that, I mean having a process whereby people want to give you their money. So how do you do that as a small business owner? Now, where that is important, my research shows only about 20% of small business owners like selling. Some really love selling and most do not like selling. We teach people how to sell, the sales process to follow, and help them to create scripts, all this kind of stuff. And often it's a mindset issue. It's a mindset issue. And the key number one thing that comes up for a lot of them is the fear of rejection. Well, if I approach them, they might say no, right? That's a mindset issue. So remember the 3 A's I talked about: attitude, and I talk about action, I talk about accountability. This is where the attitude comes in. So as a business owner, you don't sell or your team doesn't sell, there's no money coming in.
Well, there's no business. Without sales, there is no business.
There you go. There is no business because, one, there's no customers. Two, there's no cash flow from customers coming in. And like you rightly said, Mark, if that continues, there is no business. You might as well shut the shop, shut the business, and go and do something else. So it's a fear of rejection. And that fear of rejection is they might say no, they may not like me. But we teach our clients, our coaches teach our clients, it's not about the fear of rejection. If you are speaking to the right type of client and they have the problem and the need, and you can add a lot of value to them, to their business or whatever it is, and you can position everything the right way, then there's a higher chance of them saying yes rather than no. And the fear of rejection is a fear of rejection of me. And I say to our clients, our clients coming through our coaching, that it's not a rejection of you. It's an objection. It's not a rejection, it's an objection. And so they may say, I don't have the money, or I can't afford it, or this is not the product we want. But what's the objection? The objection, the way we train people, is that maybe there's something that you haven't said yet. So when they give you an objection, then go through a process that we teach that really handles their objection so that they can really get to the crux of the matter and what the value you're adding to them is, so they're more likely to say yes. So there's a whole formula just for handling objections. And so then if you keep practicing enough, it becomes not they rejected me, but no, they have an objection. And my job is to deal with that objection. So then they can say, okay, great, let's work together. Here's my money.
But there's also an element of getting your reps in. Like, you have to do, like, when I started selling, the first 10 calls was quite difficult. I found it a challenge. As you say, you feel self-conscious. But once you've done 50 sales calls, 100 sales calls, 200 sales calls, you get an element of resilience that, as you say, like, if they say no, if they've got no money, I always think when I'm selling to people, if they don't have the money, I'd prefer to know that rather than some sort of elaborate sort of excuse why I'm not ready at this moment in time and stuff like that. Because if they don't have the money, either they're going to have the money at some stage and they'll come back to you, or it's not a good fit for you. But I do think there's an element of that you have to go through the reps to actually to have the confidence to make the sales call after that one, make the sales call after that one, or, as you say, handling objections rather than taking it personally that they're attacking you.
I totally agree, Mark. It's just like a sport, the reps, relay race, reps, 100 meters, reps, martial arts, reps. It's all repetition, repetition, repetition. And so one of the techniques we also share is this: keep doing it and understand that there are going to be a lot of no's, okay? Unless you're hyper specific and you've done your marketing in a very hyper specific way that is bringing these highly qualified leads who have the problem and the need, then you're going to have a higher conversion. So branding and marketing can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you if done correctly. So much so, by the time people speak to you, it's really, yes, they like the product, yes, they like your organization, and everything they've seen in terms of social proof and testimonials lends them to the fact that actually you could help me. So now it's about how we're going to work together and what is the price, and let's discuss all of that. So marketing and branding can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, but you still got to go through the repetitions. And one of the tricks or techniques we have is that as you keep doing this more and more, know that you're going to get some no, and every no is a closer to the yes.
Yeah.
Right. So once you understand what your conversion ratio is it 1 in 2? Is for every 2 people you sell, you speak to, you're closing 1, or is it 1 in 5, or is it 1 in 10? So if it's 1 in 10, get on the phone, get these calls lined up. If you're 1 in 10, so you get to 9, actually 9 no's, I'm closer to a yes. Let's go again. Or is it 1 in 20? But as you improve in both your marketing, your branding, and especially the reps in sales, the conversion ratio will be much higher than previously. So look, and does everyone get comfortable in selling? We've had clients who they want to, but for whatever trauma they've had or for whatever is going on for them, it still becomes a struggle. So what we do with them is say, okay, you still want to build a business, and our intention is you are not your business. When we work with our clients, we let them know from the offset, you are not your business. Your business is a separate entity. And so what we need to do is still find ways of bringing cash flow in through sales. But as that comes in, you can hire people into position, knowing what they need to do. And so if you're bringing salespeople in, you have to understand what the salespeople are doing. And so sometimes the salesperson who's grounded in sales for many, many years could do a better job than you, but you still got to know what they're doing. And so for some of our clients who just really, they want to run a business, they want to own a business, they want to grow and scale a business, we start helping them to bring a sales team in, and so that they don't have to get caught in the day-to-day of sales, but it's still important. But also, Mark, when I say sales is number one skill, because as a business owner, it's not just selling the sales and product, not just selling the services and the products. It's also selling what? When you're hiring people into position, you got to sell them the notion as to why your company, why should I work with you? When you're looking at raising funds or need further investment, you've got to sell to the bank, or you've got to sell to private investors as to why you should invest with me and the kind of return investment. So sales is business.
It never stops. It never stops, because as you say, you're hiring someone, you're selling your business to them, you're getting investment, you're selling the opportunity to them. Yeah. And I always think and we know some people are just not comfortable in the sales environment. They're very introverted. They might have a great idea. And I always say to people whenever they're in that situation, just hire someone to do your sales. You will get so much better returns faster by hiring the team. So what do you do to help your clients when it comes to building the team? And that might be a sales team, it might be a delivery team, a client success team. How do you help those founders and your clients build teams?
Well, first of all, when we're doing our trainings and taking them through it, we get them to understand the fundamentals of business. And there's only 4 functions of a business. Only 4 functions of a business. Everything else falls under one of these functions. Now, one of the key functions is marketing. How are you doing your marketing to create awareness of your products and services, to let people know, hey, this is available, come and talk to us. And then there's sales. Sales already spoken about, someone needs to sell and close them. Now, I'm not talking about an e-commerce website. That's different. But I'm talking about more consultation selling, where you have to speak to someone and get them over the line. Then you have your operations. And the third function of any business is the operations. What happens internally when someone gives you their money? What happens internally for you to be able to make sure that they are satisfied? In other words, the delivery, getting them to get the result they wanted, having the outcome that they wanted, or delivering on time. So that's the operations, and everyone's got different operations. And the third area is the finance and admin, the management of the money, the administration of the of the money and the operation. So let me repeat: marketing, sales, operations, and financials, financial and admin. That's the bookkeeping, the accounting, the cash flow forecasting, the P&L, the profit and loss, and just really staying. So if sales is in football terms, if sales is the striker, the forward, then finance has to be the goalkeeper, really keeping things intact. And so that's one of the key fundamentals we put in place. Those are the pillars. These are the functions. Anyone who you bring into your business is going to fall under one of these. Give them different titles, it doesn't matter, but they got to fall under one of these. Once you understand that fundamental, then we work on, okay, how are we going to recruit the right people? Who do we need next? And when you are new in business and you've started and cash flow started to increase, you're going to realize that there's a lot of tasks that you are doing that possibly you shouldn't be doing all these tasks. So we tell our business owners, list all the tasks down and then start deciding which particular function does that task belong to. And if there's a lot of tasks that actually you don't like doing, or maybe it takes a lot of your energy, then start saying, okay, I'm going to hire someone into this particular position and I'm going to give them all these tasks to do. And secondly, we say, hire people before you need them, because there is a settling in period, a settling in time. So let's say you need someone in the position of sales, right? And you've been doing sales up to now. As soon as they hit your company and they start trying to sell your products and service, are they going to get it right first time? No. So they might need 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to settle in, to understand your systems, your processes, your IT, in terms of how we find our clients and how we close them and then how we onboard them. And so so what we say is, apart from the functions and apart from making a list of all the various tasks and then identifying the right people, you've got to have a process of, yes, identifying and also hiring the right people into position. And if it's, I say from the offset, do your best not to hire friends and family into those positions, because it becomes a different entity altogether. And the relationship you have with friends and family are different from when you're hiring someone you don't know, who has the capabilities, who has the potential to step in and just do the job without bringing any emotions that come with from friends and family. The other thing is hire on attitude, because you can train the skill, you know what you want. Yeah. If there's a wrong attitude, and as the business owner, you know what it's like, you're doing your very best to just grow and scale your business. And then if somebody comes along with a wrong attitude, and every day where you felt, it's actually easier if I do this myself. And that's what's happened to a lot of business owners. Typically, they can grow to 2 or sometimes 3 person business, but unless they can start trusting people and have the right processes in place, often they just revert back to just me and one other, or just doing it by themselves, because they've been let down too many times because they didn't know what processes to use to hire the right people. And also there's another, when it comes to teams and hiring and onboarding them and getting them to do a good job, there's something that really glues the whole team together, which we call having a team code of honor. Now, one of my mentors many years ago wrote a book called Team Code of Honor. And what that is a set of rules that govern the behavior of individuals on the team. Because you know what it's like, Mark, when you've got people from diverse backgrounds, different attitudes and different ways of thinking and behaving and doing things, unless there's a set of rules to follow, guess what? In the absence of rules, what do we have? Chaos. Anarchy. Chaos. Yeah, thank you. You're right. We have, and some business owners, entrepreneurs, start pulling their hair out thinking, did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Why are these people not doing? And because there's no set of rules that govern all the individuals and bind everyone to play by the same set of rules. So there's quite a lot there in terms of putting the right team together so that you can grow and scale a business.
I love the fact that you hire on attitude, not on skill set. I've had that problem before in the past, that I've hired someone with a skill set and they had the terrible attitude. It just brings toxicity into your
Right.
business, which can be a major issue. I want to just follow up on one other thing. So one of the things I'm really impressed what you've done, Mac, is you've created a really strong personal brand.
Yeah.
How have you done that? And what were the things that, and why did you do that? And why did you feel that that was super important for you and your businesses?
It's a great, great question. Now we teach our clients to do the same. And the essence of it is people by people. And so a strong personal brand means that they trust you, they have some kind of emotional link with you, they share in your story, and or they can resonate with your story. And that can then lead them to say, actually, what he's saying makes sense. I'll take a closer look at this. I trust this person. And so what led me to do that was having studied so many entrepreneurs, and one that really stuck out to me many years ago was Richard Branson. Having studied Richard Branson over 20 years ago, if you think about the Richard Branson brand, which would be more of the Virgin, I mean, at any given time, apparently he has over 800 businesses and projects on the go.
Yeah.
Now, why would anyone want to partner with Richard Branson? Well, you know what you're going to get. Why would anyone want to get into business with Richard Branson? You know what you're going to get. And he has a way of getting people to trust him through his personal stories, through anecdotes, through what he's going through. And they buy into the Virgin brand. And so when people come across me and they come across the Mac Attram brand and they want to work with me, often they resonate with my story, with my background, with where I've been, and maybe they can feel themselves or sense themselves in a similar journey and that they want to improve in. So I think that's essential. Now, if I can add to that, Mark, as well, that we live in a world now that if you are not doing that and you think, here's my business brand, people will buy from my business, yet they may do. And if you've got a large budget to really promote your business, then fair and well, great. If you don't have that, the best thing you can do is build a personal brand and allow people to come to you and at some point also share with them what you do, what you have, and which can possibly help them. So it's been an intentional thing.
And how do you think you've evolved as a leader?
Great question. In my early days of running my company, I was very much more of a micromanager, that I wanted to see everything. I wanted to be copied into everything. And over recent years, it's been much more about exactly what we said, Mark. Hire people on attitude and give them this, and now I give them the space to create, the space to do things, and knowing that I'm there if they need to come back to me or check in with something. Now, the way I've evolved as a leader furthermore is we have certain what we call development reviews, and those development reviews are really helping our staff to get better in their role at what they do. And those development reviews are about really a two-way communication. How do you think you are performing, and these are the numbers that you see, and how do I see you performing? These are numbers I see. And when we have our review, we talk through all of that, and month by month, the staff member knows what they're doing well and the areas they can improve in order for them to continue in their role and doing a better job. So there's several things that have happened over the last 5 to 10 years that allowed me to become a better leader of people rather than micromanaging. And so, often, I say often, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, I may be away from the businesses for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But the businesses are set up in a way that my team knows what the expectations are and they'll follow through. There's a strong code of honor. People don't need me to be there and watching everything for them to do their work. And so In short, I think I've come away from micromanaging to giving my team space and time to perform, knowing that they are being judged by the numbers and not by what they're doing daily. But yeah, at the end of the month, what does it look like?
That's great. And that's probably one of the best answers I've had for how you've evolved as a leader, because it's something that people will struggle with, and they need to know you're never a finished article. You have to keep on progressing when it comes to things like this. What would you say your risk appetite is, and has it changed over the years?
Great question. What's my risk appetite? My wife would say I'm very risky. I take big risks, more than her, obviously. So, I think I've always been a higher risk taker, but I think over the last 10, probably 15 years, I've become more calculated in the risks that I take, from a business point of view, from a investment point of view, from a wealth creation point of view. So a bit more much more calculated in recent years than I was previously, I think.
Can you share an example of either a decision that you made, either end, either something that was
Sure,
incredibly risky that didn't work, or if you'd prefer to tell me
sure,
what
sure.
decisions you're making? Or answer that first. Yeah, go for
Yeah,
it.
sure. So I'll give you an example. Which way can I say? Okay, so previously, let's talk about my real estate property business, for example. There was a time that our business I just wanted to acquire so much real estate property, flats, apartments, and as long as the numbers worked out, I'll just say, yep, let's go for it. And I made a big mistake once on a property where I thought everything added up and I didn't do all my due diligence, went straight to auction and haven't gone through and I hadn't gone through the paperwork correctly. And that decision cost me dearly in terms of when the gavel hit, now I had to pay a 10% deposit. And that that hurt a lot, because by the time the gavel hit and I had to pay the 10% deposit, I had how many days? Less than 20 days, 30 days to find the rest of the money. And it was a time when I didn't realize that, and so this was going back many years ago, that mortgage companies were not going to mortgage that property because it wasn't brick built, more of a cement created edifice. So they weren't going to mortgage it. So I lost that deal, I lost the deposit. Fast forward, I do a lot more due diligence. So I'll give you another example. A year ago, 2 years ago, we finished, I found it's more than 2 years ago now, I found a piece of land where the company was selling it, and my idea was to develop on that piece of land and build some apartments, build some flats. And cut a long story short, all my due diligence, all my hard work, we were able to acquire that piece of land for £75,000 is what I put down. But by the time we finished building, the building is now worth 4 million. Now, all I put in was 75,000. The building's worth 4 million. Now, someone might think, well, how'd you do that? Well, the risk is this, so it takes money to build. So I now have to present a case to my lenders to say, hey, I need 2 million to build this property. And here's the location, here are the plans, this is what, so it becomes a selling opportunity. So I've done all my due diligence. I know there's a lot of demand in the marketplace and for this. And so, yeah, the lenders gave me the money, we finished developing, turned that into a £4 million property. Now, had I not made mistakes many years ago in certain transactions, I would not have done the due diligence as well as I did, right, in order to be able to build to that level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, No, it does. It does. Look, we could keep on going forever. I've still got tons of questions. We might have to bring you on for a third time, Mac, but
Sure.
we're coming to the end of the interview. I ask the same 6 questions to all my guests. They're quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. The first question is, what's the best decision that you've made?
Oh, wow. The best decision I ever made was marrying my wife. I've been married to the lovely Linda now. We've been married for this year. In May, we'll be celebrating 26 years of marriage. Now, why is that the best decision I've ever made? Because she has certain skill sets that I don't have. And she has a certain attitude and behavior and way of doing things and emotional resilience that it just seems to work synergistically with me. And so, yeah, quick answer, being married to my wife, Linda.
Yeah, fair enough. Making that choice of your partner is so, so important. The support that
Yeah.
they can give you. And I love that idea that you have different skills. So I have different skills to my wife.
Mm.
And so that's why we complement each other, is because I'm more risk taking, where she's a risk averse. So when we're talking about something, I might be like, what about this? And she sort of like she just slows everything down.
You know
Look
what
at
I call it?
what?
You're in the same scenario as me. She, they have a habit, a way of just grounding you.
Yeah,
So it's like, get back to
exactly.
the ground, okay? I hear you on
Oh,
that one, Mark. I hear you on that
yeah.
one.
Next question. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Wow. The best piece of advice I've been given. The best piece of advice I've been given, I think, in listening to some of the trainers and coaches years gone by when I was struggling, was this: in your moment of decision, your destiny is shaped. And so, in your moment of decision, your destiny is shaped. What does that mean? That you want to be here 3 years' time, 5 years' time. What decision are you going to make now? And what actions are you going to go towards? Are you going to take towards that in order to get there? And so I remember writing this book, The Millionaire Moment. You know, how our thoughts shape our financial destiny. And so in this book, I talk about a moment. You know, the car, sitting in the car and sobbing, and not that I had to make a decision. Do I crumble, or do
Yeah.
I pick myself up? And now, when you ask me what happened, I have no idea. But I think the decision I made was, how do I get out of this? And I've got to study how successful people become successful in business
Yeah.
and wealth. And so that was a decision.
That's great. That's great. Next question. Who's the person that's helped you most in your career?
Good question. You don't ask easy questions. Who's helped me the most in my career? I think when I met one of my mentors by the name of Blair Singer, and Blair Singer really, I think what he did was to help me hold a mirror in front of me, myself, to realize that many years ago, I was not playing at my full potential, and I was letting myself off on certain things, and I wasn't very disciplined, and my character wasn't that great. And so just by going through his programs and by him holding that mirror up, I was able to start changing my mindset, changing my attitude, changing my character for the better. And it's not exactly like do this or do this, but it's just realizing that I was built for more than what I was doing at the time.
This isn't one of the questions, but it's sort of a follow-up, because you've mentioned about coaches and mentors. For you, who was that? Who was that person, or what role was that person that had the biggest impact? Was it someone that was mentoring you, saying, "I did this 10 years ago, take these steps," or was it a coach that was sort of giving you the openness and the sort of thought process to try and better yourself, whether financially or personally?
Thank you, Mark. I think there's two sides of it. I didn't have a coach straight away, but what I did, as I said to you, I went through some self-discovery. So I attended a lot of workshops, a lot of seminars, and they were very much different from graduate school, from my MBA, from my degree. It's like what I'm listening to is not a lecture. This is, okay, here's a situation. Here's some ways that successful people think. Here's some principles they live by. That's what makes them a success. Okay, here's an exercise, do it. And so by doing all these different exercises, I realized, oh, actually, there's areas in my life that are not great. What am I going to do about it? So a lot of trainings that helped me to change and recondition my mind. And one of the key ones was always a gentleman by the name of T. Harv Eker. And T. Harv Eker wrote a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And it's just helped me to really straighten up my mind in terms of business, wealth, success. And then later on, as things started to improve, then I hired specialist coaches. And those specialist coaches then held my hands, held me accountable, and pushed me gently down the direction with support, which I needed.
Yeah. Next question. Tell me about a regret that you have.
A regret that I have. Wow. I suppose in recent years, I think 2016, 2017, I was availed to, or I was made aware of cryptocurrencies. And in those days, it was Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And I suppose the big regret is not having bought more Bitcoin. And it's not trading very well at the moment. Crypto is not doing very well at the moment, but everything is cyclical, goes up and down. So the biggest regret is not buying more Bitcoins when they were less than $100 each. That's a big regret. But in hindsight,
but 10 years ago, Bitcoin was only deemed as a hugely volatile stock.
Absolutely.
And at that time, it really was hitting highs and then dropping seriously low. It has stabilized. It still does have its up and downs, but so do stocks. But so I think that's a fair enough assessment for a business owner to go 10 years ago. Bitcoin was seen as hugely volatile.
Yeah.
But you'd probably be sitting on another £1 million if you'd have invested then.
many more millions. But it is what it is,
Yeah. Look, this question that I ask everyone, I think we've touched on a couple of times, but I want you to think about maybe in the last, I don't know, post-COVID. So let's put it with that proviso. Was there a time that you wanted to give up, and what's made you pull through?
It's a good question. Yeah, at the time when I was over 100,000 in debt and struggling, I did want to give up because nothing seemed to be working for me. My wife and I constantly arguing. I'm hardly at home. My health was deteriorating. My blood pressure was too high. I was constantly tired. I was falling into depression, and I wanted to give up. And I think the only thing that one of the things that kept me going was that I've got to do better. I've got to get out of this for my children and for my wife. That we had our first daughter, and a few years had gone by. I hadn't spent much time with her because why? I was working hard in my business, trying to get that fixed. And now my wife was pregnant with our second child at the time. And I'm thinking the whole world is crushing down. It's like another baby coming and I'm hardly at home. And I think it's just the support of my wife and knowing that I've got to be there for my children. I think that's what got me to change my attitude, the way I was doing things, and then grow my businesses. And I think that's the thing.
Brilliant. Now, this is one of my favorite questions. Tell me something about you that most people don't know. And we all know about the martial arts. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't
You're
cop
really,
out with that.
you're really getting it out of me to today, aren't you? One thing, not a lot of people. Well, I was in a pop rock band at college many years ago. I used to play bass guitar,
Nice.
more pop music, Bon Jovi type stuff. Who was it? I mean, yeah, it was Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, I was in a pop rock band many years ago at college. So we're talking about, well, I'm 56 now, so
Do you still play bass?
I don't play bass. So so we're talking about 40 odd years ago now. I don't play. I haven't played for many years. If I get the urge, I'll get back to practicing again. But
Amazing.
not a lot of people know that, Mark. I don't know how you got that out.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And our last question that we close off with, what does legacy mean to you?
Good question again. Legacy means to me that, for me personally, that my body of work can still help people even in my absence. And so by that, I'm inspired and motivated to write books, because I think that is a legacy that my children, my children's children, anyone else who it helps can pick up and read and hopefully be inspired by that. For legacy means that the people who I am helping, the clients that we are working with, that they can say in years to come, hey, I worked with Mindspace Coaching, I worked with Mac Attram, and this is where I am in life now. This is where I am in business now. So legacy for me, it's all about what I've done, what I've left behind, and who it's helped.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Look, thank you, Mac. Thank you, Mac, for this conversation today. I'm sure that has been hugely valuable for my audience. I know I've learned some really interesting things about you and about how you see business. To the audience, if you've enjoyed this episode, please can you follow, subscribe, leave a review, and also send it to someone that you think it might be valuable to. So thank you, Mac. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Pleasure.